Hello, hello. Happy Friday, folks. Welcome once again to Talking March Madness. I am Miguel Mike Medina. This is my partner, Avery Jones. Avery, what an unforgettable Thursday night of Sweet 16.
You're right, Miguel. March Madness, again, living up to its name. Not so, granted, there was an upset, but literally exciting games on the first night for Sweet 16. Madness all the way around.
Yep. Whoever named the March Madness is a genius because it's literally madness. And the first game, Michigan State versus Kansas State, I am so happy that this game lived up to the hype and it happened in Madison Square Garden on top of that. Oof. I mean, Kansas State, everyone who goes there, who's a fan of Kansas State, had to hold their breath when Marquise Noel planted his right foot. That was like uh-oh, because we know he's the motor, he's the engine of that offense, he's the leader. And you could see right away on the court how disjointed, discombobulated, how unfocused that offense was the minute he went to the bench. And that's when Michigan State took advantage of it. But Marquise Noel, what can you say about him? He's a gamer. He said, there ain't no tomorrow. I have to be there. And the minute he stepped there on the court, the first thing he did was throw that crazy three-pointer that went in. And from there, he almost won it at the end of the second half, but he missed it with the left hand. It went to overtime, but I gotta say, Hogarth drew a lot of fouls late in the second half. He stepped up to the plate, but in overtime, KSU came out on top. It was a phenomenal game. I feel like Michigan State had a couple of good looks to try to tie the game, but they kept moving the ball, which I have no problem with that. But Marquise Noel, he broke the NCAA tournament record with 19 assists, but also he made a key defensive stop at the end to lift his team to victory. So the game ball belongs to Marquise Noel. He was facilitating, he was dropping buckets, but at the same time, he played with a ton of heart and he came up with a key defensive play. KSU deserves it. Much credit to Michigan State for hanging in there, for battling. Now KSU is going to the Elite Eight.
You're right, Miguel. I mean, what a way to start off the first games of Sweet 16 with not only a great matchup for Michigan State and Kansas State, but it goes into overtime. And remember that name, Marquise Noel, 19 assists, breaking an all-time NCAA record. And that game in of itself, I think, set the tone for the night. Later on that evening, he said, just call me Mr. NYC. I will give it to you. In Madison Square Garden, under the lights, when your number's called, you have to answer. And you're right. When he had to sit down on the bench, it felt like, the brain was taken out of the body. They weren't sure what to do. But you're right. When he knows he's got to be in there, he stepped up and the team rallied around him. And it was just a great back and forth game. And I think Kansas State has a lot of momentum going into the Elite Eight, and especially behind their superstar right now. Congratulations to the Kansas State Wildcats. Michigan State, pat yourselves on the back. You definitely earned that trip to the Sweet 16, but Kansas State was a little bit better last night.
Without a doubt. Now let's go to the second game. That atrocious second game, which is Arkansas versus UConn. I don't know. There's so many vocabulary words that I can put for what UConn did to Arkansas last night, but this was all them. UConn, in terms of assists, they outscored Arkansas 22-7 in assists. They out-rebounded 39-26. Jordan Hawkins and Sanogo combined for 42 points and 10 rebounds. UConn had a swarming defense. Them threes, they were just raining out all over Arkansas. This was all the Huskies. They looked completely scared. I'm not saying scared, but I'm saying they look scary as a team. They're peaking at the right time. They're going to the Elite Eight. And I'm going to save a little something towards the end of this video about that in terms of their opponent, which I'll leave that at the end of the video. So Avery, take it from there.
You're right. I thought this game was going to be a little bit better. Of course, if you saw the first game with Michigan State and Kansas State, you thought the UConn game was going to be just as exciting. Arkansas kept in it for probably the first 2 minutes of the game, and after that, it was all University of Connecticut Huskies. You're right. Their defense, they swarmed the Razorbacks. There was no kindness whatsoever that the Huskies wanted to bring. You know, you wanted to, break out a thesaurus for how UConn treated. Let's go with colloquialisms. UConn stole, Arkansas's lunch money. UConn treated them like they owed them money. It was just, UConn just ran over Arkansas last night. And I would say Arkansas has to be proud of themselves. I mean, granted, they took out, a #1 seed and, the defending champions, but I expected way better from the Razorbacks. But UConn just from the opening tip was in control and they never let off the gas. So congratulations to UConn. Hopefully Arkansas can, look at this tournament as a win, see what they need to do to continue to make it better, to make their team better. But UConn is on fire after that just swarming of the Razorback team. So congratulations to the Huskies.
Florida Atlantic versus Tennessee. Although I picked the Volunteers to win this game, but I am extremely happy and impressed with Florida Atlantic. I love this team's chemistry. I love their togetherness. This team has a lot of heart. And I felt that when they went on that 18-2 run, it was a confidence booster for that team. I did feel that AFU felt Tennessee's defense in the first half, but then once they started to settle in and pick each other up, they were completely fine from there on. So this team, what can you say about this team? I mean, Michael Forrest, he made some big shots for this team, which was great. I feel like in every game, you have different players stepping up for AFU. I like what Nick Boyd's had to say in the post-game press conference. He said, with a straight face, they're staying humble. He loves the team. They love the chemistry. So I really enjoy that much for a young man to say that in that moment, instead of coming cocky and arrogant. I love how calm and poised him and his teammates were in the post game. And that's dangerous. When a team is like that, that's very dangerous. You got to look out for. So they advance to the Elite Eight for the first time in their school history. Congratulations, Florida Atlantic. I'm so happy for them. Florida is most likely, potentially, my future home. It's been on my mind since I was 11, 12 years old. So when Florida wins, I can't be mad. I can't be disappointed. So congratulations, Florida Atlantic. They deserve it. Ton of heart, a lot of heart, especially against a good team like Tennessee. Go ahead, Avery.
You're right. Even as a native Floridian, when Florida wins, we feel like we've all won. And you're right. When a team is calm, cool, and collected during the game, after the game, that can be a dangerous combination because that means they have all the confidence to continue on their run to get deep in the tournament. This is the first time going to the Elite Eight, but definitely a really good team all around. great job on the backboard, getting rebounds, getting second chances. Their bench, a lot of depth there, which I think helped them later down the line toward the end of the game. And you're right, Florida Atlantic is just running on all cylinders. They have a game plan that is working for them. I had a 7th grade science teacher put up a sign once: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So Florida Atlantic has figured out the game plan. Florida Atlantic has everything going for them right now. A small school down in Boca Raton, Florida, hey, it's going to work for them. Congratulations to the Owls.
Yes. Just an impeccable performance by this group. Last but not least, oh man, this one also brings a big smile to my face. What a wild game this was. If UCLA have a heart, I think they'll be in the hospital right now for suffering heart attacks, not once but twice now. First it was Jalen Suggs, and now it was Strother. Oh my goodness. Wow. I mean, Gonzaga, UCLA. I feel like at this point, UCLA will hate Gonzaga to a whole nother level. What was the Tampa Bay Bucks in the early 2000s to the Eagles is what UCLA is to Gonzaga. They're going to want them year after year until they finally beat them. So, but what can you say? I mean, Gonzaga, they were trailing in the first half. Then they came back. Then they led by 10 near the end of the second half. And then UCLA came back. And they almost stole this game from them, especially when Bailey hit that big shot to put them up by 1. And then Strother, he just pulled a Steph Curry / Damian Lillard from the corner of the logo, of the March Madness logo, to hit that crazy shot. I'm actually shocked that he shot it when they still had enough time left. If he would have missed it, he would have been crucified. The head coach would have been crucified as well, but it went in. And Gonzaga came out victorious. They're going to the Elite Eight. I actually picked Gonzaga. I picked UCLA to win this game, but deep down I wanted Gonzaga to win. So I'm happy that they won. The Bulldogs won. And now there's just 2 things. Oh, before I say these 2 things, I'm happy that Kevin Harlan, one of my favorite sports broadcasters of all time, called this game. He made this game even much more special with his emotion, with his call. Now, I got to go with 3 things. Drew Timme, another monster performance. 36 points, 13 rebounds. Number 1. Number 2, UConn versus Gonzaga. Elite Eight. What a matchup that's going to be. And number 3, last but not least, I'm curious how UConn will play defense on Drew Timme, especially in that low post. Take it from there, Avery.
You're right. I mean, UCLA is going to despise Gonzaga. I mean, for a school in Spokane, Washington, UCLA is probably, not going to have any kind words for the state of Washington nor the city of Spokane for creating this school. But you're right. This game lived up to the hype. It was close all the way around. Drew Timme showed up and showed out. UCLA, tried to contain and have, and have some containment on the players, but Gonzaga was just, making shots when they needed to. They were making plays when they needed to. And the game was so close. I thought we were going to have 2 overtime games in one night, which would have been fabulous, for the start of Sweet 16. But Gonzaga just pulled it out in the end. Literally when less than 30 seconds, Gonzaga pulled ahead. A foul's committed, and they have no choice but to make the free throw. And UCLA just had to make the 3-pointer, and it didn't go in. But Gonzaga deserves all the credit for this game. They did what they had to do to handle the situation of the UCA Bruins. And you're right, UConn, Gonzaga, Las Vegas playmakers are probably happy about this, but this game could probably be either a very low defensive game or it could be a high scoring game. But we'll get into that later. But this game right now, Gonzaga, UCLA, Gonzaga deserves all the credit. They earned it. They absolutely earned it. And you're right, UCA Bruins, until they get revenge, they're just not going to care. They're just not going to care about Gonzaga and a little school in Spokane, Washington.